Your career success has largely been an independent achievement, but that strategy will not help you graduate corporate life because nobody does it alone. Let's have a real chat. We always say we give credit to the team and we speak good things about our direct reports and the successes that we've had. But if you're really honest with yourself, there's something deep inside when you're at the director, VP, executive level where you feel you never really needed that help. Yeah, they played the support roles, but if you really look at it, you've been the hero of your own story, right? I felt that way. A lot of the clients that I work with have too, that without you being the linchpin in the whole situation, that stuff wouldn't have had a chance of happening. Now, yeah, you got the VP title. You were able to read the room. You were able to close the big multi-million-dollar deals. You carried the numbers forward. But in doing that, truth be told, you did most of that work. You made the critical decisions. You developed the skill. You brought the capability to life. That was largely you, 90% you. If that wasn't in place, the whole thing would have fallen apart. Now, after about 15 years in corporate systems, I was feeling the pull to move beyond that, to become an entrepreneur. But despite trying lots of things, starting up a book project, trying to consult on the side, we really never got any sort of takeoff. I was in my own way, full of self-sabotage. And I had a coach at the time. He said, listen, you got to change your environment. I didn't know really what that meant, but I tried one. So I put myself in a room of founders. So this is actually me in a room with Dan Sullivan. I would go there 4 times a year to Toronto. It was a 10K mastermind per year. And I put myself in this room to be around the foremost entrepreneurship coach in the world. He'd been doing this for 50 years, hundreds and hundreds of founders he'd coached, and they all had multiple businesses in the room. So there I was, right in the middle of the whole room, surrounded by people who owned several businesses in many cases. And I was so out of my league, but I knew that's exactly what I needed. So in effect, what that did is it infused me with new perspective, new desires, right? It started bringing this whole thing to life for me where I knew because I was around new people who wanted different things and who would take bolder action, that would rub off on me. I couldn't do it alone. And I started realizing after the first time, the second time, I went there for several years, that in being with those people in that room, you fight environment with environment. You make sure that the old environment of corporate life doesn't win, and you overwrite that by putting yourself in a new environment. I had no business being in a room with Dan Sullivan and all those people, but it's exactly what unlocked me. Now, you might be waving me off right now and saying, Matt, yeah, that was you, but I can do this on my own. I can graduate corporate life. I can become a founder on my own. No, it does not work that way. Now, the old corporate ladder system, that used to work. But when you start to think about climbing rungs again and again on your own, that will not work. You can't just climb on your own again and again. You don't just get a new credential, a new success, a new achievement. There's so much you don't understand. There's so much skill set, mindset, perspective, fear, storylines that you won't even understand until you start putting yourself in that situation. And putting yourself in the right environment is what exactly overrides all of that hesitancy, all that resistance, all that head trash that's keeping you small right now and keeping you from taking the action you need to right now. Because right now, you're probably caught in some sort of procrastination. You can't tolerate the opportunity costs of doing nothing and stepping into founder life. Now, if this is our first time meeting, I'm Matt Doan, the founder of Corporate Graduation, helped over 170 people graduate corporate life, let go of that whole past, and step into their founder future. And I will tell you, none of them did it alone. They've tried. I tried, but you don't operate that way. You have to be in the right environment to make this the reality. Let me show you why. Now, before I show you how, if you've not yet taken the Corporate Graduation Diagnostic, take 3 minutes after this video and dive into it. You can get it at diagnostic.corporategraduation.com or check the show notes for the direct link. I want you to take it, be very honest with yourself, get your score to see how ready you are to move from corporate to founder, and see the roadmap that we lay out, showing you the exact next steps we recommend based on your situation. So check that diagnostic if you haven't yet. Now, back to you. If you're like the people I normally work with, you're incredibly logical, analytical, smart, well-researched, very considered in what you do. So you've done lots of research and you've made your way through AI prompts using Claude, GPT, whatever it is right now to really understand how to move forward. Maybe you've binged a series of YouTubes or podcasts. You've been pushing through on sheer willpower, or you've carved out 7 a.m. on a Saturday morning every other week to start building a business. Or maybe you're that night owl moving at 11 o'clock at night to build something with the creative energy you still have left. But the reality is that hasn't worked because structurally it can't. This is you going it alone, trying to build skill set, mindset, perspective, traction that for this particular move and moving from corporate to founder, you don't understand the magnitude of stuff in your way. There's head trash, there's stories, there's fears, there's skills you don't know you lack yet. And there's all sorts of traction that you're completely unaware you need to start having. Everyone likes to think, you know what, I just want out of corporate life. Let me solve for money, spin up a business, and then all is good, right? If only it were that easy and that simple. But there's so much more substance between your corporate past and your founder future. And we really need to understand what it takes and embrace the totality. And you have to do that with a new environment. You have to do that with a tribe that doesn't exist right now. Now, there's a couple big reasons why it's so hard to unlock from your corporate past and to build this founder future. Number one, there's so much that you can't see. And this at the root is an identity problem. Who you perceive yourself to be. The storylines that are unconscious to you, the fears and hesitations, the things that happened to you at age 5 are literally governing how you're treating this. You're deeming this to be a certain form of risk. It allows you to only invest so much, to only try so hard, to really put certain timelines for yourself that are overly conservative. In reality, you need to move much faster. There's so much at the core that is you. Your wiring is in your way. Understand this. Here's how humans function. At the core, you have beliefs. Those lead to thoughts. Thoughts lead to feelings. Feelings lead to actions, and actions lead to results. So everything you want in your outside world is rooted in beliefs, thoughts, and feelings. Do you understand how that works? And when you learn to tune this, what you're doing is retooling your entire identity. How you interact with the world, how you take a demanding corporate job and you compress it, how you boldly take the steps you need to as a founder. There's so much you can't see right now, but at the core, you're going to need a new supportive environment so that your identity can be wrapped into something new so that we can wipe out the old code and install new code. Number 2, there's an energy you simply cannot generate alone. Do not underestimate the power of being in the right room. There's only so much willpower you can generate alone, and it will fall apart very quickly. Dr. Benjamin Hardy wrote this book, Willpower Doesn't Work. The science shows that's very true. At some point, you're only going to get a fraction of your potential alone. And you need to understand by putting yourself in the energy, in the environment where you're going to be essentially around an ideas factory, people pushing each other, challenging each other. Yes, you want tactical inputs. You want thoughts on what you can do differently, but more importantly, you want to be swept up in that energy. It's the whole effect of, if you've ever been on a sports team before and you know that whole team is just operating at a level that they can't be beaten, you know this feeling, right? You as a unit are going to move forward and win far more than you ever could alone, because if you're having a bad day, guess what? Your new future isn't being built. But if you're in an environment that propels you to new heights, all the better. One more analogy for you. The work I do with my clients, when we get together, we call it getting together in the gym, whether it's online or in person as we do. The gym is an environment to do the work. Think of CrossFit. If you've ever been in a gym like that before, once you step in that behind the tinted windows, there's music, there's energy, there's a tempo, there's stations, there's people working in groups, there's coaches pushing you. You have no choice but to do the work. And that's the effect you want for yourself. You effectively want to be in a CrossFit environment for moving to your founder future. That's what you need. So the environment takes hold, pushes you forward, and you have to stay accountable to the team, to the unit. Otherwise, we fall victim to our own devices and self-sabotage, and we stay stuck. And we blame ourselves for, oh, I have bad discipline. Oh, I have bad time management. No, your environment sucks. We need a new one. Truth is, no one makes this move from corporate to founder alone. It's like the person trying to say, I'm going to go climb Everest. No, when you go climb Everest, you're roped together. You have a Sherpa. The Sherpa has a team. You're moving forward. You are linked together. You've got base camp stations. You've got food. You've got checkpoints. You've got communications. You're holding each other accountable, checking in on each other. Same thing here. When you're moving from corporate to founder, do not think this is as simple as making some money and all is good. You don't just, let me spin up a little consulting business or become a fractional CIO and then life is gravy. No, there is so much more involved in overcoming who you are, the grips that the old life has over you, and what you need to do to climb this mountain, to reinvent you, to build the founder, and then build the business so that you can finally release corporate once and for all. That is the game. Don't think it's anything less than that, okay? So in a new environment, there's three things the environment can give you that you can't give yourself. Number one is a mirror so that you are able to spot things that you can't see yourself. Number two is a map so that you understand the sequence of moves to get the right outcomes in the right order. You don't just jump straight to building a business. That's why people crash and burn. You have to build the founder first, then the business in that order. And then thirdly, you need a helping hand. You need people that won't let you retreat and fall victim to your stories and your sluggishness. If you said you were going to do something by the end of this month, who's holding you to it? What public declarations are you putting out there? How do you ensure the accountability systems and the energy of the tribe are pulling you forward at a level that you cannot generate alone? I can't, you can't, no one can. No elite athlete or entrepreneur has ever operated in isolation and had their successes. It doesn't work that way. They are all surrounded by a team, a unit, a set of peers and mentors that propel them to new heights. So let me break down each of those three things. Number one is the mirror. This is people who can see things that you simply can't. Right now, you're operating with the safe version of the leap in mind. You keep thinking, oh, if I make a little bit of money on the side and I slowly start to match my salary and then eventually I can leave a corporate life. No, you're never going to do that. It does not work that way. You will keep trying that and eventually you'll find yourself 7 years from now having never taken bold enough, swift enough action to bring this to life. You're going to keep asking for permission. Your own conditioning is going to keep running the show. Our job, or a job of someone who's helping you, is to raise a mirror so you can be called out on your bullshit, to be facing hard things, to see things that you can't see. Same reason I've had coaches for the last 10 plus years. I've always had one or more at any given time. There's stuff I can't see. There's certainly stuff that AI is not going to see for me either. I want that human. I want that expert. I want that camaraderie. I want that dedicated mentorship. I want that nervous feeling before I log on and I talk with my coach. I want those butterflies in my stomach to know that he's going to press me or she's going to press me on things I haven't done. Or I need to push myself to new heights and they're going to hold me accountable. You want that healthy pressure for yourself. You have to activate it. You have to create the conditions for the mirror. Secondly, then, the map. You want to make sure that you don't do something silly like rebuilding the cage. If you can see, there's a link around this video right now we did, which is the common move people make when they leave corporate is they rebuild the exact cage they left. They say, I've been doing this for 20 years. Surely if I repackage it and do more of the same, this is freedom. No, that is you creating a phantom cage for yourself, just a smaller cage out there in the wilderness, still confined by the same rules and fears and constraints, and it's no better than the job. Oftentimes, it's worse than the job. So what you want is a map. In our case, what we deeply believe is you want a map that moves you through space, which ultimately means creating space in your life, time, energy, and attention. You then reinvent self so that you've got the person capable of building the business. You install the founder, as I said before. And then thirdly, you move towards building the business, which is what we call system. The whole focus here is to understand the outcomes that need to come to life. You want to know we do 1, then we do 2, then we do 3. You want to know the map. You need to go through a set of milestones. You don't want to jump to working on step 3 when you're missing 1 and 2. That means you're lacking your foundations. You're not going to get where you want to go. You need to have the map so you don't fall in the trap. And then thirdly, you want to make sure you've got the helping hand, the people, the mentors and peers in your unit. I often talk about this. You're in your corporate environment and you want to get all the way over here as a founder, and you think it's a simple little bridge to cross and all is good. No, it does not work that way. In effect, what you're going to have to go through is what we call the dip. The dip is you having to step back to invest in loss. I'll link to another video around this to show if you can check out right now. When you understand the dip is a necessary stepping back so that you can launch forward. There's a lot of identity reset, being humbled, learning from people who are half your age. All of this is part of becoming a founder in this modern era. You have to navigate the dip, and you want to have a helping hand to help you move through it. Otherwise, it can be overwhelming, terrifying, and you don't make it through because you just succumb to your lack of capability and your fears and your stories, and you've got no one in your corner. Don't do that. Make sure you've got the helping hand. That means having mentors, and it means having peers. You want both. People who can guide you, who are several steps ahead of you, can tell you what to look for. Ultimately, you want to make sure that you've got both units, mentors and peers, ideally in one environment so that you can move at light speed. Bottom line is that you want to fight environment with environment. If you take your old environment, it got you here, but your old environment will not get you there. So we need to release the old and create the new. Now, think of this like gravity. If you let your old environment take hold and you've got all the same people and energy and ideas around you, and you let your current friends and colleagues just dominate the inputs into your mind, you're going to get sucked back to the old environment. You're never going to break free. We're never going to create escape velocity. In order to get escape velocity, we need to have a new gravity of life. We need to have a new environment. That's how we get there. You want to be surrounding yourself with a tribe, a unit, people that can push you forward at new levels, at new speeds that you cannot do alone. I couldn't. No one I know who's ever made this move could. Now, let me just make this very visible for you right now. All the people on this page, these are my clients, part of the 170 plus graduations we've done. Every single one of them moved through. This crew, we got Shane and Kason, we got Chris and Luis, we got Brent and Abhijat, whole crew down here, whole group together. These are some of our in-person experiences. And the truth is, every founder that exists had a room first. They had a tribe. They had an environment that made them do the hard work. You will not do it alone. These people couldn't do it alone. I tried, they tried. It doesn't work that way. You want to be around a unit that makes you move forward. We are all still humans. No matter how AI and technology infested this world gets, we are humans with a certain wiring, a craving for community, needing empathy, needing spiritual support, needing guidance that we just cannot generate alone or that machines cannot do for us. You need this environment. You cannot deny your wiring. It's always going to be there. So account for it. So hopefully it's clear. You cannot do this alone. You will not move from corporate to founder alone. The whole move is basically taking a corporate past and moving to a founder future. Understand the totality of that. This is so much more than you just making money in a new career and then you can leave your old one. You are literally letting go of all that you were in order to build a whole new version of you and way of living. That is not a simple move. There is a winding down of the old past and a ramping up of the new future. Think of it like there's a gradual wind down of what we don't want anymore, and there is a parallel ramp up of the new path. It is so much more than build a business, make some money, and life is gravy. You, the person staring in the mirror, needs to not recognize themselves in 1 year. That's what corporate graduation is. Moving from corporate to founder and everything in between in 1 year. You should not recognize yourself or your life 12 months from now. That's the challenge I throw on the table for you, to create the conditions in your life inclusive of the right environment so that you can move from your corporate past to your founder future in 1 year. And you make all the changes on the inside and the outside so that that becomes real. And you can say, I don't need corporate anymore. It's optional, and you do what you choose to do with it. So that's what all this is leading to. Making corporate optional, doing all the work, going around the traps, the mines, understanding the work that's necessary, inclusive of not going it alone, but putting yourself in the right environment. So now what I want to do is take you behind the scenes and help you understand what it actually looks like to make corporate optional. Break it down and show you what a real Tuesday looks like so you can understand the difference between how you used to operate and what it now looks like, and ultimately what it takes to graduate corporate life. So check out the video up here and in the show notes, and you'll see the deep dive view behind the scenes of how I and all my clients get to the point of making corporate optional and show you how wildly different a Tuesday can be. I'll see you over there.